Hello students and namaste everyone. Our today's topic for your standard 9 social science is chapter number 7, Post Independence India, part 2. So in the first part we had seen that after independence, after getting freedom from the Britishers, what all problems India had to face. Again we saw that India got partition, that means India got divided into India and Pakistan. Again the constitution of India had to be formed. Again the territories or the regions were to be distributed between the two countries. Then further the problem was, again we all saw that India was divided into 562 small states or the princely states. They all had to be amalgamated, which was again a very big task. Then later on we saw that how Bhavnagar of Maharaja of Bhavnagar, Krishna Kumar C Ji, he was the first person to join the Union of India, right? Then later on all the princely states, that is 559 princely states, they were ready to join with India, but only 3 states, that was Kashmir, Hyderabad and Junagadh, they didn't want to join Union of India and they actually wanted to join Pakistan, right? So how they were convinced, or how negotiations took place with them and how they were brought under Union of India, right? So we had discussed all these points, and after all the states they got amalgamated in the Union of India, still there were some colonies, right? Like the French and the Portuguese colonies were still not the part of Union of India. So even negotiations took place with them. Even military force or the police force was used to get the control of those territories, right? And at the end we had seen the Portuguese colonies, how they were taken control of by the Indians. And the remaining part of chapter, that is from page number 49. So we need to start the topic of our today from that page. So let us begin and try to understand the remaining part of the chapter, right? So on page number 49, the first paragraph is Formulation and Reorganization of Indian States, right? Again, India is very large nation. At present it is the 7th largest country in the whole world. So again, if there are small so many princely states as it were in the earlier time, so if it remained in the same position, it would have become very difficult to control so many different states. So what did the government at that time do? They decided to reorganize them, right? So many small states were merged together and a larger unit was formed or framed, right? So how that reorganization took place, we'll find it over here. So let us check it out. India became independent and acquired information about unification of princely states. Instead of accepting unitary system, we had accepted union system of governance. Unitary system means like America, they have different states, right? Again they have those states, they have their own rules, regulations. But India adopted a union system where all the states were taken together, they were merged with each other and a union was formed, okay? So union system of governance. Therefore the issue of formation and reorganization of constituents of the union occurred. The erstwhile means in the past, right? You might have heard about former and later. So formerly, erstwhile means formerly, former means earlier, later means afterwards. So the erstwhile British provinces and princely states were divided into 4 divisions after their unification and merger. They are as follows: classification of states. Class A, right? So Mumbai, Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madras, Orissa and West Bengal were included, right? So as I said, 4 different classes. All the states were divided into 4 different classes. So first one is class A. In that class A, which states were included? Mumbai, Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madras, Orissa and West Bengal. Next is classification of states, class B, wherein Jammu Kashmir, Hyderabad, Mysore, Central India, Rajasthan, Saurashtra, Travancore, Cochin and Pepsu, that is Patiala and East Punjab states of Union. Next is classification of states under class C, Ajmer, Bhopal, Coorg, Delhi, Bilaspur, Kutch, Himachal Pradesh, Tripura, Manipur and Vindhya Pradesh. And at last, classification of states, class D, Andaman and Nicobar Islands were included. So interestingly, states included in all four classes did not have equal status. However, they were inseparable parts of India. Right? That means they did not have equal status, and again at the same time they were inseparable part of India. That means once they have decided to become to join the Union of India, now they cannot separate themselves, right? Now they cannot disagree. In this way, when the Constitution of India came into force, India was the union of these states. However, this proved to be temporary arrangement, right? So when the Constitution was formed, this all states were there, but this was only a temporary arrangement, right? Thereafter, a new demand of reorganization of the states on linguistic basis. Linguistic means languages. Again, we know in India there are so many different places where the people, they speak a kind of particular language. So on the basis of that language, further or later on, the bifurcation of the states were done, right? So thereafter, a new demand of reorganization of states on linguistic basis started becoming strong. In 1953, Jawaharlal Nehru considered the issue of reorganization of states and appointed State Reorganization Committee or a commission, right? So again, for reorganizing all the states, again a commission or a committee was set up. Retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, Justice Fazal Ali, was appointed as its chairman. The other two members of the commission were Mr. Hridaynath Kunzru and Mr. K.M. Panikar. This commission asked all the states to submit its recommendations through various public opinions. That means they wanted to know the opinion of the people at large or the public, right? What they wish or what are their opinions. So public opinions, views and thoughts through postal interaction. Okay, so through postal interaction. Above all, bilingual, bi means two, bilingual Mumbai state was reformed, in which Maharashtra, Gujarat and Saurashtra were included, and Mumbai was made as the capital of this state. So earlier Mumbai, Gujarat, Saurashtra, they were all a part of one state. Okay. Further, finally, a bill making changes in the constitution and reorganizing states was passed and implemented from 1956. That means our constitution was already framed. So again, for reorganization of state, a bill was passed, and afterwards accordingly the changes could be made. Further, the old classification of states of class A, B, C and D was dissolved. Dissolved means it was nullified. That means earlier the existence which was given or the status was given was cancelled. Amendments were made. Amendments means changes. Okay. So whatever decision was taken earlier, the states which were formed earlier, in that again the changes were made. Right. So amendments were made in the first appendix. Right. Appendix of the Indian Constitution, and in place of the earlier classification, two parts were formed comprising of the constituent states and union territories. So there is the present system, it is the same. At present we are having the states and the union territories. The 14 states included Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Mumbai, Jammu Kashmir, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Madras, Mysore, Orissa, Punjab, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. So again, after reorganization, only 14 states were formed, and the names I have already read, right? While union territories included Delhi, Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura, Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep, right? So earlier we saw one word that was appendix. So appendix means a section of extra information added at the end of a book, right? So usually if we are having a book and some extra information is to be provided, so it is provided at the end, which is known as appendix. Usually in the social science we have the list of the states, the population, right? So some that kind of information which is extra is usually provided at the end, which is known as appendix. Okay, so 14 states were formed, and along with that the union territories were formed. Finally, central government made two separate states, Maharashtra and Gujarat, on May 1st, 1960, because again the division was done on linguistic basis. So again we know that in Maharashtra maximum people they speak Marathi language, while in Gujarat the people they speak Gujarati language. So again there was a kind of problem, right? So again that state was divided into Maharashtra and Gujarat. Okay, and that is the reason we celebrate the birthday of Gujarat on 1st May. We have seen a lot of celebration taking place, right? So on 1st May 1960, on 25th May 1960, recognition of Maharashtra as a state was made and its capital Mumbai. 1st May 1960 is considered as the foundation day of Gujarat, and it included the regions of Saurashtra and Kutch. So later on again reorganization took place, wherein Gujarat, Saurashtra and Kutch, so it became a part of one state, which was Gujarat. Okay, further Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland were recognized as the land of seven sisters. Okay, seven sisters, land of seven sisters, right? So again it is very important question. Again I'll read out the name: Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland, right? Fine. So moving ahead, there was always a continuous demand for formation of separate small state from the bigger state. In the year 2000, Jharkhand, capital Ranchi, was separated from Bihar. Chhattisgarh, capital Raipur, was separated from Madhya Pradesh. Uttarakhand, capital Dehradun, was separated from Uttar Pradesh and were recognized as states, right? So with the passage of time, the demand for separation of the states keeps on coming, and accordingly the divisions have taken place. In the year 2014, Telangana was recognized as a separate state from Andhra Pradesh. That means earlier it was a part of Andhra Pradesh, but later on Telangana got a separate identity as a state. Even today, the demand for various separate states has been going on, the latest one being the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra, right? So even they want a separate identity of state, but again if we know, means if we go in depth, again if we try to imagine, if again there will be small divisions of the states, then it will become quite difficult for our government to administer all those small states, right? So that is one of the major reasons why the government is not willing to give a separate, or they don't want to bifurcate the states again. Currently, the Indian Union consists of, right? So this is old data of 29 states, right? But we'll just go through it, right? Recently the numbers have changed. Assam, Bihar, Goa, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, Karnataka, Kerala, Jammu Kashmir, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Rajasthan, Orissa, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, Sikkim, Tripura, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh, Delhi and Jharkhand. 6 union territories include Chandigarh, Puducherry, Lakshadweep, Daman Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and one national capital, that is Delhi. Okay, so this was before 1 or 2 years. Right now, recently, again the scenario has changed. Again there is a change in number of states as well as union territories. So let us find out what is the recent figure. Okay, so as I said, at present there are 28 states and 8 union territories. Okay, so let us move further to page number 50. Next point on page number 50 is regionalism. India has unity in diversity, in which people following diverse religions, speaking different languages, belonging to different states, races and cultures have been living since centuries in this country. Right, because again India is an amalgamation of people who belong to different tribes or races, because earlier in the ancient period many different tribes, right, people belonging to different tribes, they had come to India. Right, our the tribe which is believed to be belonging to India was Dravidians, then the Aryans, Mongoloids, Astroloids. Right, so these are the different Nishad. Then so there were so many different people who had arrived, or they have come from different parts of the world, and they had come to India and settled over there. Right, this is the time when I am talking about is way back when the civilization was started and at that time many different tribes had come to India, and that is the reason we find that there are so many different types of people living in India, belonging to different religion, caste, culture. Right, so that is what is being talked about here. No other country in the world has such diversity as India has. Cultural progress is not associated with particular caste or creed, but it's a unified effort of the people living in India. Right, so that is the reason why India is world famous. The major reason is that the diversity of India. Right, even though there are so many people living in India with different color, creed, language, religion, caste, race, so many things, but then to there means in India we can find unity. Right, so that is the reason we always say unity in diversity in India. Okay, moving ahead on page number 51, one of the main reasons for creating the feeling of regionalism are certain greedy politicians, various communal groups who exploit the feeling of people and lure them. L-U-R-E, lure means betray. They try to cheat people. Again, if we go back to the history, again if we go back to the ancient time or the period, India was a place where all the people, whether it was a Hindu or a Muslim, all of them lived with a peaceful relationship. There was so much unity. Right, sorry. So again we know that Britishers, they came to India, and the divide and policy rule separated both the communities. Again it was noticed that many people, like the politicians and all, regional leaders, right, because of their selfish greed, they have always tried to take the advantage of this thing, and they have tried to separate they have tried to make difference between the communities, and that is the reason the difference can be seen in the people of different or both the communities. Right, so the people, they actually don't have any kind of harsh feelings for each other, but it is generated in them by such kind of selfish people. So that is what is written. The people who create and instigate means to provoke. Right, so and instigate regionalism are harmful elements for national unity and integrity. Right, provoke means there is a Gujarati word for that, utsa, Uksau, that means you are trying to make other person do what he or she is not willing to do actually. That is provoking. કોઈને ગુસ્સો દેવડાવો. So that is again a provoking, right? So that is what is told over here. Again I'll read that out. What is given is the people who create and instigate as I said, provoke regionalism. That means the people who try to show their religion higher and other religions, right? They try to show their religion as superior, other religions as inferior. They are always a threat for a nation. Because of such kind of feelings, usually there is a difference created and the unity gets broken. Okay. The aspiration for personal development is good thought, right? Aspiration is a very common word which means a strong desire, right, to become or do something. So the aspiration for personal development is a good thing, but the one who possesses danger to the society at large never aspires for overall development of a country. So what is given is very important, that we all have our own aspirations, we all have our own aims, goals, targets, but always we should keep our country at the top. For our own benefit, we should never do any such kind of activity because of which our country or nation gets harmed. Okay. Activities harming one's own state and country should not be done. So that is what I explained you. Instead, working towards one's own country is necessary. After achieving independence, country should come first instead of state. That means if I am living in Gujarat, so if I always insist that no, my Gujarat is best and Gujarat is doing so and other states are not doing so, so that is ultimately trying to create a difference in the society at national level. So which is again the moral code of conduct of the country. So such kind of activity should not be done, right? Though we are having different states and union territories, again we should all consider India as our own and we should consider it at a top priority. Again I'll give you the best example for that. You all might have watched the movie Chak De India, in which the coach was Shah Rukh Khan, right? So when the girls from different states they had come over there to play hockey, so he asked the girls that whom do you represent? So they started speaking their states names, so he just rejected them. Then there was one girl who said her name and then said India. That means that is what is being told over here, that we should always consider our country at the top, right? States are a part of our country only, but our topmost priority should be our country, that is India. It becomes very obvious for people speaking common language, sharing common culture and living in certain specific geographical regions for a long time to develop emotional bondage. Emotional bondage means attachment for one another. Language, caste, religion are the three main important factors for creating regionalism. Okay. So usually the people with same language, same culture, same caste, they easily get attached with each other, right? And the people having different caste, different language, different religion, so they easily don't get mixed up, or they don't have attachment for each other. So usually these three factors, that is language, caste and religion, those are the factors because of which regionalism, right, is formed. Okay. Next is language. Language stimulates means promotes, stimulates regionalism. North India, Hindi speakers, while South India, non-Hindi speakers, demand new regions according to languages. The state's Reorganization Commission already implemented the recommendation of division of regions as per the linguistic barriers. That means already the reorganization which took place later on was done on the basis of linguistic barriers. That means linguistic or language hurdles. Hurdles means obstacles, right? As there were obstacles or hurdles for people speaking different languages, the reorganization which took place later on was done on the basis of language only. So that is what is told over here. Caste and religion. People belonging to different religion live in India. Superiority of one particular religion exists in certain regions, right? So there are some places or regions where there is superiority. That means a particular caste or religion, people are more in numbers, so they will have their more influence. For example, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh have different customs, traditions, lifestyles and profession. Bodo people in Assam have been demanding a different region. Therefore, stormy movements are taking place, right? So, what they are saying, that Bodo people in Assam, that means they are a people having different culture and all. So, they are willing to get a separate state for themselves, but it is not possible. In the same way, in Assam also there is a organization, that is ULFA, right? So, ULFA terrorism is active in Assam. So that is again an organization which is known as rebellion organization, which is fighting against own government, that is India. Punjab and Haryana separated because of regionalism. In the same way, Jharkhand separated from Bihar, Chhattisgarh from Madhya Pradesh and Uttaranchal from Uttar Pradesh. Currently, the demand for a separate Vidarbha region from Maharashtra has been going on. It is not in the interest of the nation. A unity of country should be more important than demand of one particular region, right? So we should always consider that we are part of India. Then why we should try to separate the regions? The Constitution of India declares India as a sovereign, socialist, secularist, right? Sovereign means there is a Gujarati word, Akhand, right? Akhand Bharat. So sovereign, socialist, secularist, democratic and republic country. During the time of reorganization of state, regional demand should not be the priority, but unity of the country should be the main aim, right? So usually when the reorganization of the states takes place, right, the decisions are taking into the consideration the nation or the country first and not the individual demands. Okay. Next is regional inequality. The foreign rulers did not undertake development activities in places where they would not get any economic profit. That means when the Britishers also they came to India, Britishers, French, Portuguese. So when they developed their colonies in India, not whole of India was developed, right? So only the developments took place in the places where they found or they got economic benefit. Other remains they were still backward. So that is what is written over here. As a result, there was regional inequality in such places. After independence, the Planning Commission was formed for social and economic development of India. Right? Again, as a India, as a whole, if we say that if India wants to progress, then it's all the states, all the union territories, means even a small village, right? They should all equally progress, equally develop, then only the country, India as a whole can develop further. So that is what we need to understand over here. But when the colonies were established by the Europeans, what had happened, as I said, that only some parts were developed, some other parts were not developed. That means they remain backward. So we need to bring them all at a single stage or at a common place where everyone is equal, okay, in development wise also, in progress wise also, okay. One of its aim, that is of the Planning Commission, was the balanced development of different regions. In fact, due to regional pressure, certain political reasons, the tug of war, again you all might have heard this word, right? It is a kind of activity, you all might have seen sports activity where a rope is there, two sides, the opposite teams will be there, they will be holding the rope and they will be trying to pull the rope towards their side. So there is tug of war. So tug of war to take development programs to their own regions. Again, we all know that our MPs or members of parliament and the political leaders at national level, they all belong to different regions or states. So when they become the head of any particular department, they always try to take the maximum benefit for their own department. So that is what is mentioned over here. Alright. The maxims for development, etc. Maxim means it is usually a well-known phrase, right, that expresses a general truth about life. Okay, and again we can say rule about behavior. So that is general maxims. And other factors played an important role in it. Therefore, regional inequality is seen in matters of equal development, resources of development. Grants given are the factors for regional inequality, right? So grants means facility in the form of money. Usually when the budget is formed, right, the government grants money to different states for development purpose. Right, so again the amount of grant which is granted to different state is not same or equal, right? So again this factor plays very important role, because usually the grants which is given to different states, so again here biasness could be seen, right, because of which some states they have remained backward and other states they have developed far more better than the other states, right? So that is what is mentioned. Next is, even within developed, moderately developed and less developed states, internal inequality exists considerably. That means not only at the state level, even in the states we have different cities, districts, talukas and all. So even there also differences could be seen. Again at state level also there is inequality seen in the development of different regions, right? Moving ahead, for example, Maharashtra is in the category of economically developed state, but its regions like Vidarbha and Marathwada are backward. Certain areas of Andhra Pradesh are well developed, while areas like Rayalaseema and Telangana are considerably backward. Some regions are ahead in agricultural development, while some regions are in industrial development. There are many factors between the states which are quite visible from regionalism. There are some states who are at loggerheads. Loggerheads means in a dispute, fight. Loggerheads for boundary issues, even though they are in India. That means even there is a fight between states regarding the boundary issues, right? We have already heard about international level, like between India and Pakistan, India and Nepal, India and Bangladesh, but that same problem even exists in India itself between the two different states also. Like between Maharashtra and Karnataka, Punjab and Haryana, the boundary issues are still going on, right? Even after so many years of independence. Narrow-mindedness is seen in regions to acquire personal motive related to the flow of water and minerals. Right? Again, we have heard or seen that there are many rivers which not only pass from one single state, it passes or crosses through or across many different states. Even the fight is going on for that also, that who should use the water of that river, right? And all such points. Industrial, minerals and agricultural sector. So this regional inequality and narrow-mindedness is tremendously harmful to the unity of the country, right? So that is what is explained, that though we are part of Union of India, right, but again we have different states, and again in between them also the fights keep on going, which is harmful for the nation as a whole. And that is the reason we are being told over here that we should always consider India at the top, and the other priorities or things should be considered later on. Means for preserving country's dignity, superior position should be planned rather than taking interest in regional development. Okay, so this is regarding the different regions and areas which is formed in India. Last topic is scientific and technological development. So this topic we'll discuss in the last lecture of this chapter, right? So for today we'll end our lecture over here, and the remaining part of the chapter we'll discuss in the next lecture. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you. Take care of yourself, stay healthy and stay safe. Bye everyone.